Well, hey now, everybody. It's the Rob from Kiss 106 and 103 GBFRocks.com, along with my tag team partner in podcasting. Please say hello to the animal, Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
Good morning, Rob. I had my doubts. I thought that I was getting the proverbial kick through the barbershop glass window because you started the video before I wasn't in the room, and all of a sudden I got a notification from YouTube that you've started, and I was like, oh, hey, I'm getting fired Becky Lynch style.
No. You're definitely not getting canned. Are you muted over there? Did you do things right on your end?
I am all muted and ready to roll.
So I have to do things a little bit differently today, and I'm thinking about trying to do it this way for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
So YouTube made some changes to just their site in general, and it was really hard for me to figure out with their new settings how to go live. But also, you might notice that my camera angle is a little bit different than you normally see.
Yes.
So remember back in the day when we always used to have problems?
I mean, now we have like little itty bitty things, but we know what the problem is. Like I forget to hit a button or you forget to hit a button.
Right.
But we used to have like straight up legit tech issues.
Right. Well, that was when I used a 2-computer setup, mine and yours. When we're using a 3-computer setup over here, I had 2, Jerry had 1. It was always okay. But now when I have the webcam connected to this computer, back in the day, that would cause a problem and it would end the video. I'm trying it this way again. If the video ends prematurely, I'm sorry, pals.
Here we go.
What?
You're basically like, hey, remember when we used to have all these tech issues? I'm doing it that way again.
But that was that was a long time ago. That was back in our old building. That was at least a year and a half ago.
All right. Okay. I mean, I'm in. I'm in for a penny. I'm in for a pound.
Okay. I don't even know what that means, but I'm glad you're in.
Ride or die with you. Before we get to Raw, it's not often you and I cover indie news, indie wrestling news. But there's a story that needs to be addressed, if you don't mind.
Do I know it?
I don't think so. I hope not, because if you know it, that it'll spoil this. Because I want to see your face here.
Okay. Hey, real quick before you get started, could someone send me a thumbs up if everything's okay, please? If we sound all right.
I think it's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm with you. Go ahead.
All right. So this was on 4 different wrestling news sites. It was on Fox News. It was on Sports Illustrated's website, and it is about an indie wrestler named Manic. Have you heard about Manic?
Not to the point that I know anything about him. The name sounds familiar.
Nick McCune, Manic, saved the day. He saved people's lives, and it's a huge story here where I am in State College, because some guy went into the Denny's in Altoona and started threatening to kill people. And Manic was having moons over my hammy Sunday night at like 2 a.m. and apprehended the son of a gun.
First of all, lovely memories in the Altoona Denny's.
Our place, even before it was our place. Like I remember.
I don't think I've ever been there with you, but I know I've been there many a time.
No, you and me, we would go to the Denny's in State College, which has since been torn down. The one in Altoona, I mean, that's where I went there. I remember I have memories as a child going there with my grandma. I have memories of going there drunk with my buddies. That Altoona Denny's, I've been there a million times. And I'm telling you, in the late 90s, early 2000s, I could have been the one getting apprehended by Manic.
I got to tell you, if you want to see a real slice of life, hashtag Altoona Denny's.
2 a.m. And I just love that Fox News is picking it up. It shows you what's going on in Altoona.
So someone went in there with a gun?
Someone went in there threatening to have a gun, causing problems, and everybody was saved not by the Logan Township Police Department. No, they didn't get there. No. An indie wrestler in Altoona named Manic saved the day.
Well, we had indie wrestling news here yesterday as well.
What did they do at your Denny's?
Well, despite the number of Denny's that we have, actually, you know Mike Micus?
Yeah, yes, because he's been on Raw a few times.
He was on Raw last night.
Was he one of the ones getting knocked around by Rousey?
No, he was in the conga line for No Way Jose.
Okay.
Yeah. And also Travis told me that there was another indie wrestler that was in that conga line as well. The guy Skid Marks from Tough Enough was also in the conga line. So big day for Evansville.
Because, Mike Micus is what? He's in Evansville, Indiana, and you're not very far from Chicago, Illinois. I mean, like, he would make the trip if they said you could be on Raw tonight, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I've driven to Chicago before. 5-hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah, if I were Micus and they called me that morning, yeah, I'd have been there in time for Raw.
And then what we don't know is that later, after Raw, he was at a Denny's and he saved someone's life.
All in all, I think that after a string of 3 or 4 really solid Raws, we may have leveled out a little bit last night. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. First, quickly, Nick McCune, Mike Micus, we speak your names.
We speak your names.
Done. We speak your names.
Also, shout out to Steve. Steve gave me the heads up that Micus was in the conga line.
Oh, that's awesome news. Yeah. I never would have known it. Yeah, Raw. I have mixed feelings about Raw.
Hold on one sec, pal. Are noon at Firehouse? All right. Okay. Sorry, pal.
Denny.
It's a.
No, we're going there. Denny's at noon.
We have to shoot a video today. Sorry about that. I'm still doing my job here. I got a work day ahead of me still.
I've successfully hidden the fact that I do a podcast for another set of radio stations in another state from my company for like 2 years now.
I'm not positive they'd be mad, but I don't want to speak for your company.
The higher up it went, the more of a problem there would become because they get, So I just don't say anything. Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
I thought Raw. I tried to give it a chance. Bored me in a lot more spots than normal, but I don't want to crap all over it. And here's why I don't want to crap all over it. Because while it was boring in a lot of places, it was still boring in a more interesting way than Raw had been for a year and a half. They've changed the way they're writing and they're presenting the shows. And so everyone's getting a story. Now you're getting, like you're actually getting a story with Elias and No Way Jose. I've got thoughts on that whole segment anyways when we get to it, but everyone, for better or worse, has a story. It's very Russo-esque. We've discussed this. So they're trying. I just feel like Raw doesn't have the roster to keep my interest for 3 hours.
I don't know that there's a roster possible that can keep me for 3 hours right now.
It's tough. It's tough.
Now, okay, let me scratch that. If you combine Raw and SmackDown, you might be able to.
Yeah, I think so. I'm excited for SmackDown tonight too, but we'll get to that at some point.
Here's what I'm going to say.
I like the way Raw started. Look at this. We actually see the Universal Champion 20 sleeps before WrestleMania. Who would have thought?
My thoughts on Raw, if I can give it an overall general kind of overview like you did, and then we can get back to more of a segment by segment thing. It was bad for the past month, but as far as the past year goes, it was average to good. That's
a more eloquent way of what I was trying to say. I think that's a very good way to put it.
We've had the build to WrestleMania now, and while the last 3 or 4 episodes have been very explosive, memorable, and good, this episode was just it was a somewhat productive build. Nothing really new, but just kind of built upon what we've established. Like, for example, Hunter and Batista, they didn't give us anything new. They just kind of built on it.
They built on it, and they built on it in a good way. I liked that segment. I thought Batista did a really great job.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. And so you want to start at the top? Because you seem like you're happy to see Brock.
Yeah, well, I was happy to see Brock. I was happy how they kind of worked it in. You start with Brock, and he comes out, and you're like, oh, finally. It's not like going to be like, is he going to show up or isn't he? Like last year, he just shows up, and he's getting the heel heat he wants, and he's playing the crowd the right way, and Paul Heyman's working the crowd perfectly.
Chicago was on fire when he was in the ring. Chicago was on fire. He had so much heat.
That's what you want. And so they have that. And then Drew McIntyre comes out, and that makes it interesting. And I kind of like that little dynamic.
By the way,
Drew McIntyre.
It all goes back to what I was saying. They found a way to get Brock over as the heel. And the way to do it was to piss off you and you and you by having them take these massive paychecks in real life and not showing up. That's how you did it, and it worked.
They fell ass backwards into a pile of roses because they had a deal that was too terrible for them, and the fans don't like, but they've turned it, they crafted it well, and they have a heel guy. I also think he's part of the reason they had such crap ratings for as bad as it was. And I think that no one cares about the Universal Championship because of him, but he's over. And
I don't know that I agree with either of those things.
I do, man. I'd be hard pressed to be convinced otherwise. I think that Brock Lesnar hurts them more than helps them. But when he's there, boy, he's got the heat. He's got all the heat in the world. But I think they need to move past him, though. And hopefully that's what they're going to do at WrestleMania.
You think that the fans don't care about the Universal Championship?
I really think if you did a poll, they care more about the one Brian has. Yes.
But don't they want to see Brock lose it to somebody and then it will be the way they want it?
I think the interest level for two other championships more than the Universal at Mania. I think that's the third championship people care about at Mania.
I mean, the women's championship is a different story right now, but I don't think that Brock has been bad for the Universal Championship. I don't think he's been bad for Raw. It might be going a little long now. It was all done. See, here's the thing.
This should have been done after last Mania.
Well, that's the thing. It was supposed to get Reigns over. Rollins isn't having a hard time getting over. Reigns was the one who's having the tough time. And then as soon as Reigns got there, he went back with the leukemia. Which
is actually, ironically, what got him over.
Well, kind of. But, I mean, slaying the beast didn't hurt anything.
Which he didn't do at Mania anyways.
Doesn't have to happen at Mania. It happened, SummerSlam?
It happened at SummerSlam. And then the leukemia happened in November, I believe. It was like right around Survivor Series.
We don't need to circle around this again. I'm just going to say I am okay with the way Brock has been booked. I think that his limited bookings have kept him special. I think that people want to see that belt come off him legitimately. And that is the story they're telling with Brock, and they're telling it successfully.
I think that you're right with that. They want it off of him. I think it'll be better when it is off of him. And right now it's working for them because this is the time to do it because people still care and they want it to go. And so I think that it's going to happen with Seth. And I love that they're working Drew McIntyre into it too.
But see,
Seth came out and Seth comes out and he's swinging that chair and he's scaring everybody off. It's perfect. And then Brock can just take a break for a while. So we don't have to worry about the championship not being there. We don't have to worry about Paul Heyman coming out and cutting the same promo. It'll be a refreshing change of pace once Brock is gone for a bit.
Here's the thing, though. With Brock, if Seth beats him, like Seth is already super over as a babyface. It's almost kind of a waste.
But now you're moving to a new story. Now Seth has it, and then Drew McIntyre is going to be in the picture because this thing with Drew and Seth is going to continue past WrestleMania. You know, you don't get Brock Lesnar at Backlash. You're not going to get him at Money in the Bank. You may, but I doubt it. So you need to worry about what are you going to do with your championship after WrestleMania in the months before SummerSlam build-up. And so Rollins having it is a perfect opportunity for Drew McIntyre to get involved and have a really big feud with Heat that actually has stakes, that has the flagship show's championship. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to see the flagship show's championship at a couple pay-per-views.
I think we see it at a couple pay-per-views. But...
You see it at a couple. You're right.
How many more championships do we need? Why don't we bring back the TV title?
But now we're arguing about the brand split.
And how about a women's TV title?
I'm just saying. Now we're talking about a brand split.
The women's TV universe, the women's TV tag team Universal Championship.
You're trying to justify keeping the Universal Championship, which is the top championship on Raw, off of TV by comparing it to a women's TV title. You're being ridiculous.
No, I'm saying there's way too many titles as it is. If one's a little less visible, fine.
If you're going to start shedding titles, you don't shed the top ones. You shed the ones underneath.
If you have two top ones, yeah, you shed one.
You have 3 different tag team champions. That's where you start. You have 2 different women's champions. You have a U.S. title and an Intercontinental title. That's where you start. You don't start with the heavyweight championship and the Universal if you're going to continue the brand split. Now, listen, if you told me we're done with the brand split and we have 1 champ, I'd be totally cool with that. But that's not what they're doing. That's not what they're doing. They say we have 2 shows, 2 champs, and one of them you never see.
And I just got done saying we can stop circling around here, and here we go again.
You keep pushing and circling. I'm ready to move on. I want to talk about Drew McIntyre.
Okay, you know what? I want to talk about him too, because I want to say, I don't know what it was during his promo last night. Last night, Drew McIntyre, he got over that Mandy Rose hurdle. Here's what I mean by that. You know how I've been saying Mandy Rose has been doing good work here lately. Well, Drew McIntyre has been doing good work here lately. Drew was standing there, and I always knew he was big and strong and shredded. But oh my God, his look is so imposing, and he's just cutting a promo. There's no one standing next to him for comparison. And I'm listening to his work. He's got a distinct voice because of his accent. He sounds menacing. He's ready. Drew McIntyre is there. And I know that other people have already beaten me to this thought, but he got me there last night.
He's legit. First of all, I like his theme music better than anybody else's. Like, I love his theme music when he comes out. I like the fact that when he's walking to the ring, he takes a knee and then he stays, but it doesn't even it doesn't make a big thing about it. He takes a knee, stands up. It's the little things. He's a monster. And they booked him right, and he cuts a good promo. You're absolutely right. He's ready, which is why I think it'd be cool. Him and Roman's great, but I think that he's going to be in the title picture after Mania.
Yeah.
I think he's coming for it. I think he's going to be the guy that goes after Rollins.
How do you book Reigns and McIntyre at Mania?
I don't know. I don't know.
These are 2 guys you want to keep really strong afterwards.
Sure. They did a good job last night of giving Drew the win, making him look like super legit, but then protecting Rollins at the same time. I don't know. Part of me thinks Reigns is back, so they're going to have Reigns beat him, but I hope it's more complex than that.
I just don't know how you can have a clean ending in that match.
Well, they booked Reigns and Browne really well. I mean, when Braun Strowman came out of that feud with Reigns, they were both better off for it. I remember giving that my postie that one year for best feud of the year. So I see, hopefully, they book Drew and Reigns the right way. I don't know how to book it, but I don't work for them, so I'm not going to do their work for them.
It's not our job, pal.
No, it's my job to tear it apart when they blow it, but it's not my job to create.
Well, I can say I told you so when it comes to Kurt Angle's opponent at WrestleMania.
You can't feel good about this. I told you so.
No, I don't. Last night, it was so weird. Brittany and I were watching it, and for some reason, that's the match that she put her phone down for, and that's the match I put my thank you notes down for. And, which, by the way, I'm done with those, so I'll have to come up with a different excuse next week. We just watched it, and I even said to her, this should be good. And she's like, "Ooh, I think they screwed that up." And I was like, "Yeah, they did." And then she said it again, and it is again. And I was like, "Oh man." She's like, "This hasn't been good." And she almost felt bad for me because she knows how much Kurt means to me. It was sad watching him last night. And you know what? Something we've never articulated before, but she was able to kind of articulate was she said, Kurt doesn't look well. And when you look, the guy can't turn his neck.
Yeah.
His neck looks like a nugget with just the head. It's just like like a bolt that connects his head. Like he can't go like this.
He's all Frankenstein-y. I know. Listen, I'm glad you say this, and I'm glad you're bringing this up, because I did something for you this weekend that I wasn't necessarily going to mention, but last night I thought, after last week, like, I feel like I've been dumping on the Kurt Angle matches and saying that I don't want to see them and I don't really need to see it and crapping on it, but I know how much he means to you. And I know how much you loved him as a wrestler, and he's your number 2. And it feels good to see your guys. You said something last week. I can't remember exactly what it was. But what I did this weekend, I was like, you know what? I need to go back and I need to reappreciate Kurt Angle. So I went on YouTube and I found some stuff that he did with Samoa Joe in TNA. And I watched some of the stuff he did in TNA. And then I went back and I watched that WrestleMania 21 match that you and I really love. And we did that one. And then I went and so I did all this research and I watched a lot of matches with Kurt Angle in it. And I said, you know what? I'm in again. I love him. I used to love him. Rob loves him. I'm not going to crap all over Kurt Angle. He's got 3 more weeks, and then his final match at WrestleMania, I'm going to enjoy it for what it is, and I'm going to do my best to just not crap on it and just say, I'm going to appreciate Kurt Angle. This is cool. We get to see a legend wrestling for the last time for the next 3 weeks. And then it came out last night, and everyone was dead when he mentioned Baron Corbin. I mean, the crowd was dead for it. And then he wrestles Gable, and it's sad. And I wasn't going to say anything about it. I'm glad you did. Like, I don't want to crap all over it, but it's just, I'm almost ready for him to be done now, I think.
No, it is what it is. It's the life of a wrestler. I I guarantee you, Bruno Sammartino's last match probably wasn't his best work.
Right.
Mick Foley's last match, what wouldn't be his best work?
You know I know, but you look at some of these last matches, like even Shawn Michaels was it a Super Showdown? Which one was his last one, or Crown Jewel? Crown Jewel. That wasn't great, but he looked like he could move still. You're absolutely right about Angle. Just he feels like one of those old action figures that they don't bend.
Yeah. And Brittany, if you still have it DVR'd, you don't have to watch anything, but go back to the post match right during the finish and shortly thereafter. She's like, he looks so purple. His color is so off, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has a heart attack tonight. My wife is a CNA, and she's not wrong. I didn't want to believe it, but she's not wrong.
I don't think Baron Corbin's the right match for him for a lot of reasons.
I do. Well, I kind of do.
I don't think Baron Corbin can carry the match. You need someone in there that can do 85% of the work.
But that's
you need one of those I can do a match with a backpack kind of guys. That's
if the goal is to have a great match, and that's not what the goal of that match is. Does that make sense?
I see that. Yep. The goal of that match is to make everybody feel good and give Baron Corbin his.
The goal of the match isn't to have Kurt Angle's last match be a 5-star classic. The goal of that match is to leave WrestleMania with Baron Corbin as the guy who ended Kurt's career, so that it can live on. You know what I mean?
Oh my God!
He doesn't even have to win.
I was hoping for the other way around. I was hoping that Angle gets the win, and it's just a feel-good moment, and we're done with Corbin for a while.
I mean, maybe that is the story they're trying to tell, but I think their story is going to be more forward-looking than past-looking.
It would, yeah, it would make sense.
You know what I mean?
Kurt loves putting dudes over.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, if you have Kurt wrestle John Cena at Mania, which I believe was the theory you had tossed out there, you might get a good match, but it's going to be over at WrestleMania. And you'll still get mileage out of it if he beats a guy who's currently wrestling all the time.
Right. I loved the mirrored symmetry of it all. You know, John Cena's first match in WWE was against Angle, and Angle's last match will be against Cena. I like that. But you're right. It makes sense.
So that's why I think that they did
I don't like it. It's Corbin.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. You gotta if you were a stockholder or you let's just say it's your company, you want to get mileage out of this. It's the last match of a historic wrestler's career.
Might as well have some heat.
I mean, think about a lot of historic last matches. Like nothing's coming to mind, but you want to be the guy who says I ended his career. That's what you do. So that's what that was. By the way, hey, listen, I had to talk to Maddie. Whatever's going on behind you, don't even worry about it. It's totally cool.
Right.
And then let's see what else was really worth talking about from the show last night. I thought the Ronda stuff was pretty good. If you want my honest opinion about that,
I really liked it. I like this new incarnation of her coming out, and I thought it was good. And Dana Brooke, I don't know how she does the thing with her upper lip when she talks. She looks like a Simpson character now. It's crazy.
That's not something she did. I mean, that's something the plastic surgeon did. She looks like Psyduck. Like, yeah, I see where you're coming from with Lisa Simpson.
Right.
If you know who Psyduck the Pokemon is, it's just, it's a duck. Like Daffy or whatever.
It's got like a duck bill.
It's so bad. Like, I would even call that botched.
Right.
You have to make subtle changes. Girls, and stop with the lips.
By the way, I don't know what's going on, but there's something going on in this studio around me. And the most curmudgeon-y of curmudgeon guys is in charge of this room. And so he keeps coming in, and I won't be surprised if he comes in and throws a fit.
Do you have to bounce?
No, I don't have to bounce yet, but if he comes back in, he's been like circling around like a vulture. And he came in at one point and like stared at me, and I ignored him for a good bit. And then he left, and then he came back in, and then we saw him behind me. And now he's messing with the computer. And so I don't know what's going on. At some point I might be like, okay. I gotta go.
Listen, okay. Why do you want to just cut it off now?
No, because I wanted to say that Travis Browne, I thought, had a better shot on that one security guard than Bobby Lashley did the entire time.
I think Travis Browne is actually a positive contribution to this angle.
Right.
He's humongous. He's scary looking, and he gets it. It seems like he could be a perfect addition to this storyline.
I got to go. Everybody's standing outside the door now. There's 3 people standing outside this door.
Listen, it's been a slice of life today. Happy birthday, Mike Micus. Happy birthday, Steve.
Nick McCune.
Happy birthday, Nick McCune.
Yep.
We'll see you later on Post to Post. We'll have another episode tomorrow.
Yep, pal. See you, pal.
Hey, Chris.